And away we go. It is the BCJ podcast presented by the Holy Grail right here on BearcatJournal.com. Get your butt down to the Holy Grail. Get to the banks. It's exciting. The Reds are good, except for when they play the Brewers. Make sure you stop by and visit our good friends at the best sports bar in the city, the best bar in the city, as is regularly voted every year. Get yourself some delicious food, lots of cold beverages, and visit our friends at the Holy Grail anytime you're down at the banks, especially before and after Reds games. All right, let's get this show on the road. It has been an interesting day on the old internets as news has been popping everywhere. Maybe we'll get an appearance from Dan Simon tonight. Not sure. We've reached out, but I don't know, Dave. Do we know what Dan Simon's availability is this evening?
He did respond. I think he's going to be able to join us. Not sure on the timing yet. Obviously with what's going on now, he is supremely busy. But
we have our own realignment expert. His name's not David Simone, it's Dan Simon, and he fills us in when the big news is happening around college sports.
That's awesome. We have, there's a lot of guys like that, y'all. It's been such a hot topic. It's been crazy.
We've been lucky to be able to bring him on, as conference realignment expert, since there are so many of them out there. For him to saddle up with our tiny little site has been a big blessing.
You'll figure it out eventually, Grayson.
Okay.
All right, let's get to it. We are starting off, as has been the case here for a while, with our team ticker right there. You can see it. Team ticker, Big 12 season preview segment. Today we will be talking about Baylor. Team ticker is a one-of-a-kind sports sign for Bearcat fans. It's high-tech retro displays daily updates of the latest news, stats, schedules, betting odds, and much more. No subscription required. If you're looking for the perfect addition to your man cave, or maybe even your dorm room, or a dorm room for that special someone in your life that's going to be in Clifton this fall, or a gift for that special Bearcats fan, go to teamticker.com. Pick up your team ticker today. It is a local company started by two UC alumni. It plays the fight song at game time. So that's big. High-tech retro-looking display. It's officially licensed through the Collegiate Licensing Company and manufactured right here in Ohio. That's pretty cool, isn't it? Grayson, you like that?
That is. That's really cool. Look at that thing.
It's got like 7 minutes.
Great.
It's got like 7 minutes of info that it puts up there. I've had to talk to the guys that own it. I'm like, calm down. Like we're trying to get them to go to Bearcat Journal for info. You guys got it all right there. So go to
one-stop shop.
Yeah, go to teamticker.com and get yourself taken care of. We got Baylor today, and we dipped in to our friends at the 365, the Sikkim 365 network. Smoke and all those guys have been kind enough to. I've been on many times on the show, and I said, "Hey, we need somebody to talk Baylor." He said, "I got a guy. I got a guy that knows everything." So here he is, Grayson Grundheffer. Did I get it right?
Perfect. Yeah, that's perfect.
Nailed it. And he's going to give us a look at Baylor as we get going. Dave is our football expert, our X's and O's guy. So I will turn it over to Dave to get things going.
Well, thank you. And thank you, Grayson, for joining us. We're going to have a big show tonight, so happy to have you leading us off. Let's start right at the top. Quarterback. From the outside looking in, it seems like Dave Aranda wants Blake Shapen to be the starter. Is he entrenched as the starter going into camp here in a couple of weeks, or could Mississippi State transfer Sawyer Robertson take the job from him?
No, guys. So, I mean, that was a hot topic, I think, for all Baylor fans. And, you can get into the X's and O's a little bit and talk about what happened last year. I think a lot of Baylor fans want to, blame Blake Shapen at times for things that happened, but this team did not fall all on his shoulders last year. The defense took a huge step back. The receiving weapons weren't very good. And so you kind of move forward to this spring and you saw kind of a new guy, a new Blake Shapen. And a big part of that was leadership. And he did not have that last year. And now I think this is more his team. If you remember, before last year, they had the decision between Blake Shapen and Gary Bohannon. They went with Blake Shapen, the younger, quote unquote, more talented guy. And it cost them a little bit in the leadership category, but I don't think it cost them at all in the win-loss category last year. But now this year, I think Shapen is more ready to be that guy and truly be the quarterback one for Baylor. And he's the guy. Dave Aranda mentioned it after spring football. He's going to be their quarterback game one. And then as far as Cyril Robertson goes, it's going to be a process, guys. He's coming from an air raid offense where he wasn't asked to do a lot of the things that he's going to be asked to do in the Baylor offense. So it just took him a little bit of time, but he's very, very talented and a guy they won a recruiting battle against TCU head-to-head for him. So they're very high on his future as well.
Richard Reese was really good at running back last year as a freshman, but the offensive line replaces a lot and a lot of experience in that. Will they lean on Reese and Oklahoma State transfer Dominic Robinson, or will we see more of like a downfield passing attack maybe until the line figures everything out?
I think a lot of people have been asking about the offensive line, and I don't have many doubts about that unit. I do think it's a unit that's going to get better as the season goes on. But I mean, Eric Mateos, he was offered a job at Georgia a year ago to be their offensive line coach. Like, this guy knows football. And if you watch the 2020 season, they couldn't block anybody. And then in 2021, when he got to Baylor, they took a huge jump in the right direction. So I trust him. I think they're going to be able to run the football. I think their offensive line got a lot better by adding the 2 BYU transfers, the Barrington brothers. And I think in general, this is a unit that's much hungrier than last year's unit. I think last year there was complacency up front because a lot of those guys they were going to be the starter going into the year. They didn't have any competition. And I think that really affected them, especially in the early part of the season when they lost to BYU specifically. So yeah, I'm not too worried about it. They're definitely going to rely on Dominic Richardson, Richard Reese a ton. Their principles are definitely going to stay the same. Run the football, run wide zone, and then hit you over the top with play action. That's going to be their bread and butter. They've done it the last few years, and it's really worked well for them for the most part.
Yeah, you have Jeff Grimes as offensive coordinator. You mentioned the offensive line coach. Those two guys really know offensive line play, and I know it kind of dipped recently. And then you're replacing some vets with, like you said, the Barrington brothers transferred in from BYU. So I wasn't sure just, what the expectations were in that world. You mentioned receiver play. I know Keytron Jackson transferred in from Arkansas. Who else are you guys looking to kind of elevate from last year and maybe take some of that pressure off of the 2 running backs? Because Reese is not going to be a secret anymore. He wasn't much of a secret halfway through the year, but everybody knows who he is now. So who on the outside should we watch for Baylor this year?
So Keytron is the name I think everyone's going to kind of find out more about. You look at his career at Arkansas, he was playing behind a lot of guys who got drafted in the NFL and just never really carved out a full-time role until late in the season last year. Arkansas wanted to keep him, but he was ready to move on, go to a different scheme. And Baylor honestly was a school that probably should have landed him the first time around during his initial recruitment. So now he's at Baylor now. He's going to be relied on heavily. The other guy is Monterey Baldwin, who was awesome last year. His problem was he just kept getting hurt. And plain and simply, when he was hurt, they had no one else that really could take that load off of, the receiving core, the tight ends, and then off Blake Shapen. And so I think going into this year, Keytron's big, Monterey Baldwin's another one, another year of Hal Presley, who showed flashes last year. I think he's going to be a lot better this year, a lot more experience, Josh Cameron played a lot last year. And then Jordan Neighbors, I think, is kind of the sneaky one that not many people know anything about. But if you watch him, he's basically a Monterey Baldwin clone. And so you're going to have those two guys out there a lot, doing a lot of different things, whether it's, carrying the football, jet sweeps, catches over the middle, exploiting the defenses deep downfield. They can do a lot of similar things. So that's kind of what the receiving room is looking like now. They've gotten a lot better from a year ago, and adding a true alpha like Keytron is definitely going to help kind of bring that group together. And then also, you can't mention Baylor without the tight ends. And Jeff Grimes has done a great job, developing them, taking them to another level. And you have Drake Dabney, an older guy. You got some younger guys as well, like Kelsey Johnson. And then they brought in North Texas transfer Jake Roberts as well to kind of anchor that room. So they're going to utilize a lot of those guys. They're going to utilize their receivers. And then at times, they'll utilize their running backs as well in the pass game.
Defensively, it was odd to see them fall off last year, given Aranda's track record. Metrically, from even the year before, the couple of years before, they were down across the board. Where do they need to kind of take the biggest jumps? Because I think there's a good amount of talent on this team on both sides of the ball. Where do they need to take the jump on defensively to kind of get them in that conversation in November to possibly play in the Big 12 championship?
I personally think it all comes down to their secondary. They were really bad last year in the secondary, and a lot of those guys transferred out to other schools. It just really didn't feel like they were ever a cohesive unit, and you saw it at times. And then I think on the flip side, Ron Roberts is gone. He's at Auburn now, and they brought in Matthew Pallage, who was at Oregon. He was at Baylor previously, and he's a safeties coach. So he's going to do everything he can to get that secondary to a point where they can be, really productive. I think the big changes from a year ago. Last year, they ran a lot of zone because they did not trust their safeties. They did not trust their cornerbacks, and they just wanted to keep things in front of them. And while that's fine in theory, you're giving up so many first downs on third down. They weren't having success in the red zone. They were just on the field far too often, and it really cost them. So this year, you're going to see them play more press coverage. You're going to see them be a little bit more aggressive up front as far as creating a pass rush, which in the past, the 2021 team, they were more about just controlling the line. They weren't about, getting sacks or anything like that from the first level. They allowed their linebackers to do that. Terrell Bernard, Jalen Petrie types. This year, I think the defensive line is going to be more of a focal point, creating pressure, and then they're going to press coverage a lot more on the outside. So if their secondary can come together, they're going to be awfully good. But I do think that's still a pretty big question, even though they brought in a few transfers who should help some.
Or is the secondary guys that are going to be thrown into the fire, so to speak, and guys that are coming from other schools, so you really have no idea what to expect kind of situation?
So they have essentially one returning starter, which is Devin Lemire, who was a redshirt freshman last year, and he's pretty good. I do think that he at least gives them experience there. But everywhere else, so they brought in a Johnny Carter, who's going to play cornerback for them. He's a grad transfer from Utah State. He should be fine. He should be a guy that you can count on. And if you've watched his film, he does some things. So I think those two are pretty firmly locked in. The other guys, it's going to be a lot of their first time playing major roles for a college football program. You're going to have Chateau Reed probably playing one of the cornerback positions. Then you're going to have Corey Gordon playing the star, which is what Jalen Petrie played for Baylor in 2021. And then you're going to have Devin Bobby playing the other safety. And both those guys are redshirt freshmen. So they're very young, inexperienced, but very talented. And I think the bigger thing is they're bought in. Last year's group had older guys that just simply were not bought in and did not perform at the level they needed to. I think these guys fit what they're trying to do better, but it's still a question mark. You're going in with young guys and you're just kind of hoping that the talent wins out, but it's still definitely something that they're going to have to either fix or they're going to have to develop those guys very quickly.
It's interesting. You mentioned buy-in a couple times now, and going back to Big 12 media days, Coach Aranda had some comments about and from my standpoint, I'm sure from your standpoint, covering the team, he was pretty brutally honest and pretty transparent about what he maybe did wrong last year with I think he called it like trying to save guys. And did it just feel like there was a disconnect between him, his staff, and the players, and just kind of, hoping that, like, trying to keep guys from transferring, where now it kind of, his comments made it sound like he's like, if you don't want to be here now, go ahead. I'm going to get guys that want to be here regardless of whether they're 3, 4, 5-star transfer from Texas or transfer from Louisiana Tech type of a situation.
I mean, it was a pretty deep problem last year, but I think it was more personally, like, looking at it, I think a lot of it was the fact that they just were not a player-led program last year. And that's an issue, that their leadership never really came together at all levels of the field. And when you look at different rooms and different, you got safety meetings and cornerback meetings. If there's not a leader in every single room, you run into problems, because, I mean, coaches can't see everything. They can't fix everything. You got to have leadership on the team. And I think, last year that was a part of it. I think another part of it was what Dave Aranda mentioned. They didn't want to over recruit their roster. So they didn't want to go out and add a bunch of transfers to take other guys' spots. But you look in hindsight, and Dave Aranda mentioned this, they should have done that. And they should have explored the portal, added guys who fit what they wanted, and then just, recruit over guys and make them compete for starting roles. And it really hurt them a year ago. And so now you're seeing a totally different Dave Aranda. And you've heard it. I mean, you heard it at Big 12 Media Days. He's like, hey, we need guys who are bought into the program, and we need guys who fit what we want. And we no longer can say, okay, this guy's battling back from injury, I'm sure he'll be fine for the season. Like, no, it's not going to work like that. They're going to bring in guys to make sure that they're going to be okay depth-wise and leadership-wise. And, I mean, they attacked the portal just about as aggressively as anyone outside of maybe Oklahoma State in the conference. And, I mean, there's a lot of schools that had to, but Baylor really, really did, and they needed to.
So what are expectations this year? 6-7 last year, some really nice pieces, especially offensively, coming back. Is it, get to the Big 12 championship game? Is that too lofty? And then if that is the case, what are a couple things that you feel need to go their way in order to maybe accomplish that?
So, I mean, I think if you look at Baylor's track record, odd years are the years that they take advantage, because they get the schedule turnover, right? Where you get 5 home games, 4 road games. 2019, they were in the Big 12 championship, lost to the Oklahoma team with Jalen Hurts. 2021, they won the Big 12 championship and then won the Sugar Bowl that year. And now it's another odd year. And the schedule turns over. And
that win, by the way. Sorry to interrupt. We are forever grateful for that Big 12 championship.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for sure. And I mean, that's just, that was a wild, wild year. Y'all getting into the playoff and it happening like that. So, yeah, I mean, it's another odd year, and Baylor takes advantage of odd years. At least they have the last 2. And if you look at their schedule, I mean, it is extremely manageable, and it's a schedule where there's a lot of opportunities for big wins, I think, for this team. And I think the expectation in general, though, is you want to see this team play a lot better. And so I think for Baylor fans, it's like 8-4. 8-4 is the expectation. But I think, as we've seen in the past, teams that go 8-4 or that are expected to go 8-4, that can sometimes turn to 10-2 just based on winning close games. That's how the Big 12 is. You got to win those close games, and the margins are so narrow, like we saw with TCU last year, that even if you're basically, I think TCU was probably a 10-2 quality team last year, but they finished, they went 12-0 during the regular season. Like, they won the close games. And so if Baylor does that, they have a chance. I think if you look at the teams above them, there's really no one that I'm like, oh yeah, there's no way Baylor can beat them. I just don't see that on this schedule, nor in the Big 12 at all.
Okay, so we are obviously not coming to Waco this year. You guys are coming here. So, one, are you going to be coming to the game?
I won't be. I'm going to the UCF game. That's the road game that I'm going to be at this year.
A rookie terrible decision. You'll realize that probably 5 minutes after you step foot on campus. I don't know if you've had
Oh,
the chance to interact with them yet.
I haven't. Not with
man.
UCF fans. Why?
No, we'll talk after the game, after you get back from that trip.
Okay.
I think you'll know why.
Okay.
But okay, so you're not coming here. When we go to Baylor, hopefully, who knows with teams coming in and out and what the hell's going on, but hopefully next year, what are the must-dos for the Bearcat fans when they go to Waco and go to a Baylor game?
That's a good question. I think, it obviously a lot of it depends what you're into, what you like to see and do. But I think like one of the main staples at Baylor, obviously the campus is beautiful. So just being able to walk the campus is nice. But like Baylor has what the Bear Den, which is on campus. And they have 2 live bears that are actually on campus now. And actually, if you come next year, they're babies now because the 2 older ones that when I went to school that were there, Lady and Joy, one of them passed and then they retired the other one. So now it's 2 baby bears. And so they're going to be probably living in there by that time next year. So that's pretty cool. Live bears on campus. That's always a kind of a favorite of fans. I think outside of that, yeah, what's up?
We're from the Midwest. Alcohol. We want to hear about alcohol.
Yeah.
Can I buy a beer? Can I buy a beer at the game?
You cannot, which is sad. That's
Baylor,
sad.
I kind of figured that. I kind of had the sense of that one.
It's a dry campus, so sadly that's not on campus. They're probably never going to sell liquor in the stadium, sadly. But right off of campus, the most famous one that everyone goes to is George's. That's a local, all Waco. They have all the games playing there. They have Big O's, which is big. It's a Big O kind of chalice of beer, and you can get Big O margaritas. You can get Big O everything, and that's really a staple. Every time I go to Waco, I love going there. It's perfect. Food's great. The beer's great. That's definitely a staple. And then tailgating wise, y'all got to come by the Sikkim 365 tailgate, of course. Like there's no other place. Yeah. So we have our own tailgate. It gets pretty big. We have like catering and we have a bar out there and all kinds of stuff like that. So that's right outside the stadium. So you definitely have to come to that because that's like the best tailgate you could possibly go to at Baylor.
Chad, you got anything for Grayson?
No, I think that pretty much handles everything. Our Chip and Joanna at the Sikkim 365 tailgate.
They probably will not be at the Sikkim 365 tailgate, but you'll probably get a cameo of them on the big screen for sure. They come to like every single game, and they're super active, super involved. And I know, of course, if you go to Waco and you have an extra day, maybe like on Sunday or something, to go to Magnolia or on Friday or something, go to Magnolia. It's worth a little walk, especially if you're there with your wife or significant other. All
right. Do they do a 365 Sikkim 365 live tailgate show?
We actually have. Yeah, it's on YouTube, but so we have our tailgate is outside right across from the stadium. And then our studio is like maybe 3 blocks down from the tailgate, and it's indoor, and that's where we do our pregame, our postgame show. And that's where the 365 show is every single day. And so it's really close.
We need to get a studio on campus, Dave, near campus. We'll work on that.
There you go.
The people wanted to know where was Smoke today. We have a lot of loyal Sikkim 365 viewers here because they've been so kind and had us on. Like we've got a bunch of people hooked to you guys.
Yeah, Smokey's going to be on next week. I think he's on vacation for a little bit this week. I think Craig's going to be on vacation next week. So they're kind of taking turns here, but unfortunate because it's like one of the biggest news days you could possibly have.
Yeah, that's usually how it works. When you go on vacation, everything happens.
Right. So he'll be back, I think, on Monday, I believe. Right. And he and Paul will be doing the show next week, I think.
All right. Well, we appreciate it, man. It was great insight, great information, and looking forward to seeing Baylor here at Cincinnati this year, and you'll understand that you messed up. But I get it. You going to Orlando, I understand. But
it's
the
unfortunate.
food and the beer in Cincinnati are better than Orlando. I'll just tell you.
Well, I'm from Indianapolis, and my mom actually lived in Cincinnati for a while, so I've been to Cincinnati a couple times, and I love the Midwest and everything like that, but we could only make one work, and so chose Orlando.
Right.
What can I say?
Appreciate you, man. Thanks for coming on. Great stuff, and maybe we'll have you back as we get to game week.
Let's do it. Thanks, guys, for having me.
Where can they find you on social media?
Yeah, so my Twitter handle is at Gray Grundhafer, and then I'm also I'm on the Sikkim 365 Sports channel sometimes, and then also Crystal Ball College Football on YouTube as well. I talk realignment and just all college football in general.
All right, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Have a good one. Thank you, Grayson. Yeah, Dave. Chelsea wants to know what's up with your connection tonight. Like you look like you're in 1987.
Like the picture's bad?
Yeah, like really bad.
How's the sound?
The sound's good. You just look like you're in 1987.
My screen looks fine. So I don't see what you guys see, but I mean it is showing me that I just did a speed test and it is running pretty slow tonight for some reason. I closed down some other things. It doesn't seem to be working. So maybe just our connection's not very good tonight.
All right. Well,
I was working. I mean, nobody wants to see me. I mean, that's obvious. But I was just more concerned that it wasn't cutting in and out, audibly like it has in the past.
Audibly, you're pretty good. It's the visual tonight that
Yeah, it's been saying connection's unstable like the whole time. So.
All right. That segment timestamp brought to you by Turtles Brew. Visit www.turtlesbrew.com for more information and locations. Portion of the proceeds go to Save the Sea Turtles. It's a 0 sugar, 0 carb, gluten-free, bourbon-infused sweet tea. They have cherry lime, raspberry peach, and orange vanilla. You can buy it at 50 locations, over 50 locations in Greater Cincinnati. So just go to turtlesbrew.com for more information and locations. And we will have Turtle on, I believe, next week, Dave.
All right.
And maybe even introducing a new flavor of Turtles
Whoa.
Brew.
All right.
They said they wanted us to try Turtles Brew just in the can, 6% ABV. It's an easy drinker. And then they said after we have one, then the second one you take and you put a shot of bourbon in the Turtles Brew. Like I've seen people do that with like White Claws. They take a shot of vodka and put it in the White Claw. You take the Turtles Brew and you put a shot of bourbon in it, and it gives you the extra oomph if you're looking for something a little bit more than 6%. And I said, we have to do a podcast.
Well, yeah.
We can't be wasted unless you're Dave. You want to apologize to the people for your low energy last week?
That was a rough one. It was as you could tell, it was a little warm. It was a little warm.
The last thing you wanted to do was be on a podcast at that time.
I will 100% admit that.
Dave, what do you think? I think it's good.
Yeah, I went straight to the roof for the DJ show right when it was over.
That was still outside. Like, was it cooler?
It was probably, I mean, I'm not joking. It was probably 20 degrees cooler out there.
Because you were up?
Yeah, it was up. And it was.
You caught the ocean breeze?
A little breezy, yeah. I mean, it was totally different.
So, what do you want to talk about, Dave?
I don't know. I mean, something going on? I do just, like, before we get into it, the Portland Pickles are dragging the Pac-12.
I know.
I mean, they just sent out a tweet, ripping the Pac-12's, like graphic with, Pac-12 statement, logo and everything, basically saying that they have announced their move to the Pac-12, effective immediately.
This is a wood bat college summer baseball league.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, like cold takes exposed is all over him. It's bad, I guess is one way to put it. I guess, do you want to go there? Do we want to talk some more TBT first? What do we want to do?
I mean, I get the people are here to hear us talk about.
I know. So we'll get into it. So I want to try to keep this as on the rails as possible to start. Like, what we actually know, what we don't know, and then maybe we can, maybe I can send out a text and see if someone can join us. But I was driving to pick up Will. Pete Thamel, of course, first one, tweets out, basically Colorado is, wrapped up their board meeting today and then instantly scheduled one for tomorrow, conversations with the Big 12, things of that nature. So he's not tweeting that out. Subsequent tweets by Ross Dellinger of Yahoo, Brett McMurphy of the Action Network, the list goes on of people that I would consider reputable news sources. It is kind of funny that the Johns have been quiet this afternoon. Wonder what they're doing.
No, they've tweeted a little bit.
Have they?
Yeah, it hasn't been great.
Well. But anyway, so it sounds like the agenda's been put out for tomorrow. This is, in my opinion, a formality. They have to.
Oh, we're done by now.
They have to tell the Pac-12 they're leaving before they basically ask the Big 12 if they can come, and then the Big 12 will say, yes, you can come. Here's your invitation. So you kind of have to be out of the one before you can get into the new from like a procedural and protocol standpoint. But this is happening. They are leaving the Pac-12. It started to become more and more clear on Friday through last week when I don't know if he's their chancellor, if he's their president, whatever.
I think it's chancellor.
Basically said we need to see the numbers. And then at in reference to their ongoing television contract negotiations.
Right.
And then at Pac-12 Media Days, Rick George, their athletic director, basically did the, hey guys, sorry, can't talk, gotta catch a plane, I'm late, got a meeting I gotta get to. As soon as he was done talking, type of situation.
Is Klyakov actually Moose?
I mean, I don't know. I think Moose was better at what he did than George has been. But it's basically come down to the fact, and there have been people, discussing this for a while. The shills and the water carriers, and even George Klyakov, we're close, we're working, blah blah. I don't know this. Like, I don't know any of this stuff. But for Colorado to make this move now tells me very clearly that there are no numbers. Like, it's not like here's what we're being offered and they're going, nope, go back and get more. Like, there is nothing they could not accept an offer if they wanted to, because there is nothing to accept.
There's no offer.
Right. And I think Colorado finally got to the point where which doesn't happen often in these situations. I mean, Arizona's still saying it. We will not make a decision until we see what the deal is. They finally got to the point where they were like, we're not going to let you string us along. We are going to take control of our own situation and make this move for the betterment of our athletic departments moving forward.
How much of this do you think has to do with the fact that they signed Dion, and even like people were talking about at that point that they didn't know where the money was going to be coming from?
Well, I think the Dion thing matters a little bit. Like, he wants to recruit Texas. He can recruit Texas at Colorado, but he can recruit it a lot better if he's playing 3 games a year in Texas. I think it comes down to the fact of maybe Dion said, guys, or the AD said, guys, we just need to know, like, do we need to recruit California a ton or do we need to recruit Texas a ton? Because right now, we don't have an answer one way or the other. And we're kind of in limbo here. Like, I'm not going to go spend a bunch of time recruiting 2024 and 2025 kids in California if we're going to move to the Big 12 and vice versa. Like, if we're not, then I'm not going to spend as much time as I want to or think I should in Texas. But it's a disaster. It's like, I've been in business. A lot of people that listen to this have been in business. What George Klykov said on Friday about the longer we wait, the more money we're going to get and the more people are going to come to the table is one of the worst and most illogical business-centric comments I've ever heard.
Yeah.
If you and I are negotiating a deal and you're offering me X and I want Y, and we've been negotiating this deal for 6 months, and we just can't see eye to eye on what the proper value is. If I go to the media and say, well, I'm just going to wait because the longer I wait, the more money I'll get, what are you going to do?
Leave.
You're certainly not going to go in another month or something, go, oh, you know what, David? Now I see why you wanted that money. And now I'm going to give it to you. Like, it's one of the dumbest things I've ever seen in my life. From just a purely business standpoint.
It doesn't, like, it never made any sense. I mean, they have over and over again, like, what was the joke last year on or last week on the college football Reddit? It was like, for the 384th day in a row, the Pac-12 is expected to announce their media rights deal today. Like, somebody had the receipts on, like, okay, here is February 27th. Deal is coming soon. Here is March 12th. Look for something in the next 2 to 3 weeks. Here is April 2nd. Final things are being finalized. And it ran for like a year where, these people and people are dunking all over Stuart Mandel.
Oh, well, I mean, yes. Him, the Johns, the Washington State president looks silly. I mean, George Klykov on Friday. It's Wednesday. We're not even 7 days after he said, it's not my concern. I'm not concerned about anyone leaving. Yeah,
Friday.
Like,
now, have you seen the spin on that? I think
no.
Canzano spun it as he knew what he was saying. What they're saying is, we don't care if Colorado leaves.
Of course, that's going to be the next play, is that you'll start to see they're not good at football anyway, so blah 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 blah, or they knew they were going to leave anyway, so it doesn't change the equation for them. Whatever. I mean, that's fine. The people that have said what they've said, it's, there's no taking that back. There's no, walking that back. Whatever. You were wrong. You just eat it. Like, there's no shame in just saying, like, I was wrong. I kept getting fed information that turned out to not be true. I'm sorry. Like, it's not.
I was listening to the wrong people.
It's not a big deal. But I feel like it puts them in an awful, awful situation. Because they have said time and time and time again, we will do a media deal, then we will do expansion. Okay. With Colorado leaving, you have 9 schools. If you're ESPN, if you're Apple, if you're whoever, why are you doing a deal with them right now? You have no idea who's in the conference.
Yeah, there's no point in doing a deal.
Like, it's not even about money right now. It's about, like, I'm not committing to something that I don't know. Like, these things take time. It's obviously taken them a lot of time. But, like, if I'm ESPN and I'm offering you this and you wouldn't take it, I'm not offering you that now.
I mean, honestly, though, Dave, like the ignorance here dates back to the day Oklahoma and Texas left the Big 12.
Could have taken any Big 12 school they wanted.
They should have ended this 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. And they, in their arrogance, thumbed their nose at the Big 12 schools. Oh, you're not academically qualified to be part of this conference. So we're just going to stick with what we got.
Yeah, I don't know what deal is out there for them now. Like if I'm ESPN and I offered you $20 million a year, why that deal is not the deal anymore? You are different.
Right.
So if you weren't taking that deal, I'm offering you less now. Are you going to take that? Because you're now so worried? Because let's be real here. Outside of Stanford and Cal, because they operate in a different way, and that's fine.
They don't even know that they have sports.
And outside of Washington State and Oregon State, because Brett Yormark has talked nonstop about additive. Those properties, I love both of them. Washington State, great fan base. Oregon State, great, really fun, cool schools. They're not additive. Outside of them, why would Arizona State, Utah, Washington, and Oregon not be trying to get in to the Big 12? They have to be in full panic mode right now.
Yeah. I mean, the Big Ten is fine. They don't need anything else right now.
Well, they've already said. I mean, their commissioner said today or whatever that we're going to see how things go with USC and UCLA first.
Right.
Before we even have a conversation about expansion.
Let's not forget that when the Big 12 signed their new TV deal, it also included that if you add other P5 schools, that you get more money pro rata.
Well, you get the same amount of money. You don't get more.
Well, it becomes more for the conference. So everybody's going to be on the same page. So you run far less risk than whatever it is the Pac-12 is still working on.
Right. I mean, that's the thing is so if another school will eventually go, they're not going to sit there at 13 when Oklahoma and Texas leave. So the Pac-12 will be at 8 and they will backfill. What is the value of those teams that they backfill with?
GMAX says update new Pac-12 deal $70 million per year with the additions of Sam Houston, James Madison, North Dakota State, and Eastern Washington per John Wilner, and that's actually $70 million per year for the whole conference. That's not $70 million per year.
Oh, of course not.
Team. and that's a joke.
Oh yes, of course. But it's those schools have to be in total panic mode. They're, who knows when a deal will come. What if Brett Yormark has said yeah, we kind of just want to be at 14.
Right. So
there's one spot left. What if all the presidents are like, Brett, we love you. You've done great things. But we're, let's take this, let's slow this down maybe a little bit, and let's get a partner for Colorado, and then let's kind of just get our bearings with these new members and see what happens. I don't think that'll be the case, because I think all these other schools are going to be clawing to get out of the Pac-12. I mean, my personal opinion, based on nothing of substance, which is basically how realignment speculation and reporting works, is I think at some point in time, Oregon, Washington, Arizona, and Colorado will be in the Big 12.
So you're going to 16.
So you're going to 16 with the understanding that Oregon and Washington would prefer to be in the Big Ten, which is fine. I think there's, whatever. We all have our goals in life. And that you like that's where the Big 12 is in a power position now. You bring them in, say 5 years down the road, they get a chance to go. Well, guess what?
Yeah.
Guess who you can go add? Arizona State and Utah.
Right.
Because they'll be so tired of being in a conference with whoever the Pac-12 backfills, and their dollars will be so short, comparatively speaking, they'll be dying to get out of there.
What? San Diego State, SMU,
Tulane, Memphis, Boise, UNLV, Fresno. Yeah. That's kind of what you're picking from. That's a far cry from Oregon, Washington, USC, and UCLA.
Not great, Bob. Not great.
That's all if there's no ACC movement or if no one can figure out how to break that GOR.
Sure.
Aaron, do you want in? I'll
tag you. I'm tagging in when I need to. It's fine.
Oh, I'm solo now. No, now I got left box. No, back to right box.
Easy now. Easy. We don't want to put you in the driver's seat with that connection.
Back to right box. But it's a bad situation. I feel for some fan bases. We've been in that. I feel for some. That's terrible for Oregon State and Washington State. We've been in that spot. I don't feel bad for the people on Twitter or the reporters that have shouted for a year that this will never happen. Never's a strong word.
Especially when the writing was on the wall, Dave. All of us saw this coming, and they didn't.
Well, that's the thing. Is you've been following college sports for how long, and you're going to sit there and tell me that there's 0% chance that Colorado would go back to the conference that they used to be in?
Has there ever been a more definitive set of hires in college sports than Brett Yormark and George Kliakoff? It was already kind of shifting that way. What was the guy's name that ran the Pac-12 into the ground? Larry Scott.
Larry Scott.
It was already starting in that direction. But my God, I've never seen a more immediate fork where one conference went this way and the other one took a left turn at Albuquerque, and now New Mexico is going to be in their conference.
Did
I see what I did there?
I did.
It's pretty good. I thought I just thought of that right off the top of my head.
Picked him up on the way, huh? Just to Santa Fe. But Larry Scott did a lot of messed up stuff. But this is kind of all on George.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild to think back to the jumping of the Pac-12 in the media rights pecking order set this domino off.
Yeah.
And we can joke and laugh about, playing in Mexico or Rucker Park, a 2-hour clinic in Rucker Park, and does that matter at all? And we can have those conversations, but honestly, one thing that Brett Yormark has done truly matters, and it was getting out ahead of the Pac-12 in this. Because again, I can't say for 100% certainty, but I find it very hard to believe that if they had hired a commissioner who fit in that box of commissioners past, who were administrators at a school and then became, moved their way up and became a conference commissioner and just did the whole we'll wait our turn because that's what we always do. There's a pecking order here. The Big 12 would absolutely be in the same position that the Pac-12 is in.
Maybe a tad bit stronger position than the Pac-12, like as they are completely falling apart. But I don't disagree.
I just
like
mean from
if the
I mean,
Pac-12 got the deal and the Big 12 was looking to find something, like the only thing that I would say that would make it a little bit different is it is a conference that has a lot more people that care
right.
about football than the Pac-12.
I just mean from the standpoint
No, I get what you're saying.
Holding the bag, waiting for a deal. I'm not saying they would have been like taking schools, but like
No. I'm talking about the media from the media deal perspective. If the Pac-12 got the deal first, yes, the Big 12 would have been in a world of hurt. I don't think they would have been in as bad a world of hurt as the Pac-12 is right now, because you were still more central time zone, so you weren't isolated on an island, and you would have found somebody that was going to broadcast those games, because those fan bases do give a shit.
Sure.
Where in the Pac-12, there's a bunch of fan bases that just don't fucking care. So the media rights people are going to be like, look, you can't even get your own fan base to care about your games. Why are we going to put you on TV?
Yeah, it's it'll be interesting. Like, Joe, and this we kind of touched on this earlier. Joe asked, "Do they add SMU and San Diego State tomorrow?" I mean, they should, but I
don't think San Diego State can leave now for a couple more years because of the stupid shit that happened a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I mean, they could say we're leaving, but they would have to pay penalties to do it any sooner than
they can't afford.
Right, they'd have to pay penalties to do it any sooner than 2025. Their deadline was whatever it was, June 30th, June 30, whatever, was to be able to start playing in 2024, to be in that typical like 18-month window. So sure, they could leave and start in 2025.
Good luck. And it's gonna that was the thing that everybody talked about with San Diego State is if they don't leave by this date, they can't afford to leave.
And here's the thing too. Like, yes, the Pac-12 is still, I won't say no matter what, but like, would San Diego State still leave? Sure. But it's still going to be better than the Mountain West.
Well, no, but we don't know that. Like,
that's my point.
Add the money to it. We don't know that.
What happens if my nuclear thing actually happens?
Right.
Truth serum. Would San Diego State rather be in the Mountain West? Because we have no idea what a Pac-12 TV deal would be if Arizona, Oregon, and Washington weren't a part of it. So, do they want to make, or like, they're probably nervous. Like, do we really want to make this move? We don't know if these teams are going to. These teams might not even be in the damn conference by the time we can start playing in it.
It might just be the Mountain West.
Yeah.
With Oregon State and Washington State.
Cal and Stanford.
Yeah.
Yep.
But that's Klykov and those guys that screwed San Diego State even. They can't even get expansion right because they don't have their ducks in a row.
Yeah,
Klykov got, not only did he get his lunch money stolen, he got beat up.
I did like this when I was reminded that at one point in this whole process, he said that having Deion Sanders at Colorado will only make our league more appealing, in reference to a media deal, which we made fun of because like hiring a coach isn't. ESPN's not going to all of a sudden be like, "Oh my God, you hired Deion? Here's $100 million more."
Right.
But he actually said that, so it makes it that much more hilarious that now that they're leaving, and he was using that as like here's my PowerPoint deck. Top 10 reasons you should give the Pac-12 a bunch of money. Number 4, Colorado just hired Deion. Excuse me, sir. Colorado's no longer in your league. Scratch number 4.
Right. It's it's worse than the Big East mismanaged things. And we saw, that's the thing. We saw this all happen. We were there. We watched it happen to us. And it just, it's a little bit different because of the different, the basketball schools and the football schools, and there was a different element there. But from a mile away, you could see that the Big East was about to be screwed. And the people on the inside, Cincinnati being one of them, maybe being the main one, at that point said, we're going down with this ship. And these Pac-12 presidents and chancellors and media folks are all watching as the thing is capsizing and going down.
It's just wild to me that, and maybe because I'm not in it, and it's because we've watched this from our vantage point for so long. It's wild to me that you start negotiating the television contract almost a full year ago. We are 5 days away.
Yeah.
From last year's media day when George K said we haven't decided if we're going shopping at the Big 12 yet or not. We are a year away from when they started this negotiation for a new television contract.
Yep.
And these presidents and ADs are so blind to their love of conference and love of each other that none of them woke up one morning and was like, you know what? If we were that valuable, we'd have a deal by now. Someone would be willing to pay us what we want. Things that are coveted do not go unsold for this amount of time.
Right. That's not how selling things works. If you have something that people want to buy, they buy it. If you have a car that nobody wants to buy, guess what? It just sits on the lot.
And you need to adjust your price to reflect the market value that is being shown to you. And they have clearly not done that. They see their value differently than the rest of the market. And I think Colorado just set the first, bit on fire, being like, you know what, guys? We've had enough. Best of luck. We're going to go over here. It's not ideal, because if it was ideal, we wouldn't have left in the first place. But this is a fucking tire fire, and we don't want to be torched.
Right. I'm just trying to gauge what the response is inside that conference right now. What they're all, well, here's the thing about Colorado though. They were always the most likely, right?
Yeah.
If we really thought about it, they didn't have loyalty.
No.
They were in the Pac-12 because what were they doing? Chasing money.
Yeah.
Because they thought they were getting ahead of the Big 12 falling apart.
When Nebraska and Missouri and Texas A&M left.
Yeah. Wow, this is short term. They're not going to make it. We're going to get out. So they were never all in. All this talk, and I'm sure some of it is true. I'm sure Cal and Stanford and a couple others were like, look, we're in this together. We've been in this for the long, we're going down with the ship. Colorado barely even had their bed made in their room at this point in time, by now. Of course they were going to be the one that starts to get jumpy and looking back at their ex, who's hot now.
The Big 12, epitome of stability. Couldn't have said that a few years ago.
And it's all the Pac-12's fault. They had it all right there. They could have stuck the knife, twisted and turned, and the Big 12 would have been non-existent.
I mean, they really could have killed a conference.
And they said, we're too good for that.
We can't be bothered with Texas Tech. Are you kidding?
Yeah. Today they were put into hospice.
Yeah. So
It's amazing.
It's now I think is when it gets fun because this isn't over.
No.
Like now you got people, cutting each other to get to the front of the line.
Yeah.
Because they don't know where this is all headed. And they're nervous. I guarantee it. They're nervous.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Everybody now, musical chairs has started.
Like if you're Oregon and you're a national brand.
Yeah.
And you're like, we have no idea if the Big Ten will ever come calling. I mean, you have to be like, we have to get out of there. We have I don't know what they're doing if they're not literally on the first lifeboat off the Titanic.
Yeah.
Because we've said it before. I know we have people joining at different times, but I don't know how you get a TV deal done anytime soon. Now.
Right.
And I don't know, I don't know those offers that were, if there were offers out, even if there were offers out, they're not the same offers now.
No, everything is changing.
Yeah, this is
so
when you're doing a trade. This reminds me of it's not apples to apples, but the Carson Palmer trade.
Yeah.
The Bengals could have traded Carson Palmer in the summer, and they might have talked to the Raiders about him and said, yeah, we'll take this for him. And then when Jason Campbell gets hurt and the Raiders were like, yeah, you still want to do that trade? They're like, oh, yeah, we'll do the trade, but now this is what we want.
Right.
The terms have changed.
Yeah, you had your chance at the discount deal. The sale ended 2 days ago.
Yeah, so I'll be eager to see when the first the first we're hearing that my sources are telling me that the Big 12 is close to a deal. So that should be fun. But let's see, what is Thrifty Walrus? Would it make sense for the Big 12 to just offer Oregon and Washington a deal that they can leave penalty free at any time if a better deal comes along? No, because if a better deal comes along, they'll have no issue paying whatever they negotiate down to. I mean, they'll be more than doubling whatever they, say they go to the Big Ten. They will be more than doubling what they would have made in the Big 12. So they will have no issue working the negotiation down from whatever the exit fee is. The Big 12 would, in my mind, let them negotiate that down. And then they would go on their way, and the Big 12 would be very happy to have had them, I imagine, for whatever amount of time they were in the conference. And then they go get, if they want, they go get 2 more teams to fill those spots if they're trying to get back to 16.
Yeah, if there's a grant of rights, this deal is only 5 years, Dave. So 6 years, whatever it is, it's not like you're locking in like the ACC did.
No, you're not in the same
years.
Not in the same situation. Yep. I mean, Brian Fisher just tweeted, or he tweeted it 3 hours ago, a guy from Fox Sports, but it finally got retweeted and showed up on my timeline. The Pac-12 has had multiple opportunities to end the Big 12, and yet here we are with the Big 12 trying to land a knockout punch before the end of the round.
Look, they won. They had the fight won, and they decided to just stay in their corner and stop fighting. It's the dumbest shit ever.
Yep.
You had your chance to kill a conference, to put a fork in the competition and take this thing from a Power 5 to a Power 4. And the arrogance of the Pac-12 said, "No, we're too good. We're
the
too
Pac-12
good for them."
The Pac-12. Let's go. The Pac-12 had the Big 12's deal on the table.
Yes.
We took their deal. Basically, is what happened.
Yes.
They had our deal on the table, and they were floating out information that their numbers and everything tells them that they should be more in line with what the Big Ten is getting. And they set these unrealistic expectations for their presidents and athletic directors, and got starry-eyed and whatever. And the Big 12 said, well, shit, if they're not going to take the deal, let's go take it, because it's still a good deal for us. We're losing our two biggest properties, and we're not even going to backslide. We're going to make more money. So yes, we're going to take the deal. We're going to stay on ESPN and Fox. We're going to take the money. We're going to take the stability. We're going to do all those things, and we're going to put them in a bad spot because they've told their constituents that we are worth this and that this is a bullshit deal and that we cannot accept this.
And Thrifty Walrus says, imagine making such a dumb decision because of academics. The pure irony. Actually, I don't think it was academics.
What was it?
Texas. We are California, and we don't want to be associated with Texas.
Yeah, I mean,
I think it was cultural. I don't think it was academics. It's not like the Pac-12 or the Big 12 academics are awful. Are they Pac-12 level? No. But I think it was cultural. We're not going to be associated with the Southwest. Yuck.
Well,
yuck.
Yeah, Baylor, a Baptist school,
right. Yeah.
That's just it's not, and that matters in, and that's why the Colorado thing was such an easy play to see work out. Is they've already associated with all these schools before. They
already knew them.
They had no problem being in a conference with Oklahoma and Oklahoma State and Kansas State and back then Missouri, Nebraska, Texas. They had no issues with that. So it's not a thing for them to make this move.
Right. It was a move that was made for money. And now the money was about to fall apart. Of course Colorado was going to reverse if the Big 12 will take them back. Of course. You know the funny part about all this?
What's that?
Who was considered to be behind moving Colorado to the Pac-12 in the first place?
The Bone Zone. George Klykov, you have entered the Bone
Zone. You've been boned. George Klykov just got boned.
Oh man, he's not gonna be able to sit down for weeks.
George Klykov just got boned.
Scott brings up an interesting point. Is he wonders if Oregon and Washington may not have let them accept the deal because they were trying to get out.
Maybe
very well could be the case, because they, if they would have accepted the deal, they would have likely had to sign a grant of rights, which would have then tied them to the conference for the duration. We know how that works, especially with what's going on in the ACC.
Yeah. Wrong button.
Man, you're really having a time.
That would be gangster if that's the move Yormark made. August 1st. Take it or leave it. After August 1st, our options are different. That make your decision. Yeah. Because It's Colorado. Who fucking cares?
Right.
Like they're not a big deal. Like, okay, we'll take you back. We'll do this because it's it's overall the best long-term move.
Yeah.
But ultimately, we don't care. You're here, you're not here. August 1st. Deal's on the table. Get in or get out. One way or the other. That would make sense.
Right. And I'm gonna guess that he and the Big 12 had an idea that there is no deal for the Pac-12 to sign. So, if you do put a deadline on it, it makes them say, okay, like we have no deal to agree to.
Right.
How long is this going to play out? And when we do finally get a deal, there's who's to say it's a bad one, not a bad one. And now we're stuck.
And now you're stuck. Yeah, you're stuck with a bad deal.
So, yeah, it's a messy situation. Hold on, someone's calling. Hold on.
Okay, you do what you got to do. I'm sure Dave will be back momentarily. I know he wants to talk about the TBT. I know he's been excited about it. So we'll get Dave back in here shortly. But I mean, all of this is just fascinating. You knew something was going to come to a head as the Pac-12 kept lying. Like that's what it came down to. If you followed this closely enough, they were just lying over and over and over again that they had something in the works, that something was finalized, that something was ready to go, that something was imminent. It's always imminent. We're going to announce it at this marker. We're going to announce it at that marker. Uh-oh. Oh, no. Uh-oh. Dan Simon.
Oh, sorry. I'm going to have to call you back. Bye.
Dan Simon.
Chad, it's good to see you, my friend.
How you doing, my friend?
Oh, man. What a wild day. Can you believe this?
It's been interesting. We've I was on the radio today here in Cincinnati, and talking Reds and Bengals and a lot of stuff there, and then all of a sudden, Pete Thamel comes in and drops the bomb, and when Pete Thamel drops the bomb, it's done.
I was out on the yacht, and I saw it come through, and I said, "Captain, get me to shore. I've got to go talk to my friends at Bearcat Journal." I've been working the phones, my beeper's blowing up. Everything, getting calls from California, from Oregon, from Cincinnati, from Dallas. It's been a crazy afternoon.
How much of this was set in motion at Pac-12 the day before Pac-12 Media Days when everybody was supposed to meet, and the Colorado Chancellor and the Colorado AD were like, look, we need some numbers. And George Kliakoff was like, 1 + 1 = 2.
Hey, man, you're a wheeler and dealer. It always comes down to the numbers, and they just don't have them right now. And eventually people are going to say shit or get off the pot. I got a school to run. I got an athletic department to run, and I can't be beholden by your incompetency.
Does this shake things to the core? In the Pac-12, does this shake things to the core where now everybody else is starting to look around and go, we're going to start thinking about ourselves. Like, we can't go down on the Kliakoff Titanic.
Finished. Conference is finished, as anyone who's followed intercollegiate athletics in their lifetime knows it. It's done.
Peter wants to know if you've been playing any golf with Pac-12 presidents recently.
No, I wouldn't. No, not with Pac-12. They don't have enough money to play golf with me. Are you kidding? I mean, they can't even get a damn television deal done. I'm not playing golf with them. I'm playing golf with guys like Brett Yormark. You see the shoes he wears? He wears the fancy shoes with the buckles on them. Guy doesn't even wear shoes with laces. He's too fucking important that he doesn't even have time to tie shoes. He has to wear shoes that slip on so he can get out and make the deals.
Oh man. What's next? So what comes next here? What comes next after tomorrow? It's pretty evident that tomorrow we're going to hear that Colorado has issued their termination or resignation or whatever in the Pac-12.
Yeah.
What do you think the timeline is to come?
I think your timeline is tomorrow, executive public meeting. I believe you have to make it public when you're doing something like this, although you can then take it into executive session and it's, I don't know, who knows? That stuff's boring to me. I'm looking at the steak dinners and the lobster and the money changing hands. But yeah, they'll leave the Pac-12. They'll say, "Hey, good times. See you later. We're going to come to the Midwest and the Southwest and get us some steak dinners." And by Friday, I think there's an announcement. Maybe not an official announcement from Colorado, but I think it's all well and good and done. And then next week we'll have the song and dance and the things of that nature. And then it's a Royal Rumble for the wrestling fans out there. It's the last man standing to see who follows them, because I don't know what, like, if not, what are you doing? What are you doing?
14, 16, 20? Like, where are we going here?
That's a good question. I don't know. I mean,
I asked it.
Are you the first? Are they the first conference to just say let's go to 20 and get and put ourselves in that position? I'm not sure that there is eight worthy athletic programs, departments once Texas and Oklahoma leave to truly, make that kind of a move worthwhile. I think you're then, as my guy BY likes to say, now you're being dilutive. So, we're always trying to be additive. And I'm not sure those properties exist outside of a handful of others that are available at the current moment. That is the other thing. Why go to 20 now? You could have some properties become available, say, around 2035.
Maybe sooner. I don't know. Disney's looking to spin off ESPN.
If those people on the Atlantic coast have good lawyers, maybe sooner. But conservatively speaking, 2035, 2036. Yeah, I'm not interested in going to 20 right now, because maybe some of those guys want to join us in a few years.
The Big 12 might be on their third TV deal by then.
Could be. But
price of poker keeps going up.
It's a fun day. I love it. I'm very eager to get on the Twitters later, see all the water carriers and the shills that have been doing some dirty ass things for the last year, being pretty loose with their comments, and ready to watch them squirm a little bit. Ready to see some people pull some receipts. It's going to be entertaining.
What's the game of choice tonight when you hit the tables?
Oh, we're going blackjack big, baby. Always blackjack.
Well, I wish you luck.
We got a trip to Reno in the works for next college basketball tournament. Looking at some properties out there. Got some people interested in making that trip. So trying to bring it back to the old days. Vegas it's kind of different now. So we're trying to go back to 3-2 blackjack, drinks every 10 minutes instead of every half hour. We're gonna make a good trip out of it.
The last time I was in Vegas, you couldn't find a cocktail waitress with a search warrant.
I mean, it's all 2-1 blackjack. Can't get a drink. Like, that's not the way it's meant to be. So we're gonna go back to Reno.
Todd wants to know, Dan, what's the next domino to fall? Who joins Colorado to go to 14? Because they're not going to stay at 13.
No. I'm gonna go out to the desert. I think we're gonna go to the desert first, unless one of the unless one of those Pac North folks, if they want to put them on the table, so to speak, they could move themselves to the front of the line very quickly. So, like I said, this is going to be a bare knuckles brawl, tables and chairs match, no holds bar, last man stand, all your wrestling references. It's the summer. I don't like any of these sports being played right now, so I watch a lot of wrestling. So, yeah, we're getting ready for SummerSlam in Detroit. I'll be front row ringside, ready to rock and roll.
Oh boy. Well, it's been great to see you.
Hey,
We've missed you.
I've missed you guys.
I know the life of a mover and shaker, you got to keep moving and shaking. But on a day like today, it's great to hear from you. We've missed you.
I've missed you. I'm happy to be back. Hope I can join again soon. I think
It might be next week. You might be here next week, Dan.
I know this might be a recurring thing if my guy BY keeps doing his thing. He's got them no lace shoes on. You never know what he's gonna do.
You're gonna have to talk about to the people at whatever fine establishment you're at in Vegas about the internet connection.
Still bad.
Bad.
Damn cheapskates can never pay for some decent damn internet, for God's sakes.
All right, Dan. Well, if you hear from Dave, let him know that we're going to move on, and we'll get back to conference.
I will. I'll see him soon. We've got a couple meetings, a couple situations we've got to take care of.
All right. Well, we appreciate your presence, sir. It's always a blessing. We'll talk to you.
Thank
very
you.
Soon.
Give my best to the rest of the crew. Brent, Mr. Royer, Aaron, Keegan, all the guys. Tell them I love them. See them soon. Football season, less than 40 days. Ready to roll.
And next time you're in town, Ruby's on you.
Oh, well, of course. I mean, we just did this damn Colorado deal. I got hundreds falling out of my pockets.
Bye, Dan.
See you guys.
There you go. Dan Simon, conference realignment expert, the mover and the shaker. He knows where the bodies are buried. He knows exactly how to make things happen. So it was good to hear from him. Dave, you're back.
Hey,
you missed him.
I had to attend an important family call. So sorry. What did I miss?
Okay. Dan stopped by.
Oh, Dan, man. We've been playing phone tag. I can never track that guy down. He's elusive.
He popped in. He was very excited about things. He said something about the Colorado deal and hundreds falling out of his pocket.
You never know with that guy. Probably on his way to Spearmint Rhino right now.
All right. Do you have anything else on realignment you want to touch on tonight?
No, I think we probably covered it because I feel like we're not gonna be long without having to talk about it again.
Yeah, I agree, Chris. It's really unfortunate. Dave always has to, like, he's got him and Dan just never, outside of when they're on their trips and having their fun. But when it comes to the BCJ pod, we can never seem to have them link up. But
I know.
Soon, Chris. We'll figure it out one of these days. It's unfortunate.
He's a tough guy to. He's a tough guy to really get a hold of. Yeah, I mean, that's why he's an expert.
Yeah, I mean, you got to be a mover and a shaker if you're going to mover and shaker. But that's going to wrap up the the Big 12 segment, the Big 12 realignment segment that is going to be ongoing here for the very near future. There's a new realignment thread on Bearcat Journal. Let's see if we can get that one to 1 million. But that segment was brought to you again by our good friends at Turtles Brew. That's with an S, turtlesbrew.com. It's a ABV. It's got 0 sugar, 0 carbs. It's gluten-free. It's bourbon-infused sweet tea. Do you like bourbon? Yes, I like bourbon. Do you like sweet tea? Yes, I love sweet tea. Well, then Turtles Brew is exactly the kind of drink you're looking for. They've got cherry lime, raspberry peach, orange vanilla. 50 locations in greater Cincinnati. Go to turtlesbrew.com for more information and locations. And remember, a portion of the proceeds go to Save the Sea Turtles. They are now in Cincinnati, in Toledo, and expanding in Central Ohio. All right, let's you want to do a little TBT before we get out of here, Dave? We've talked a lot about it here because it's been topical. Give me the Dave Simone rundown of your TBT experience this past week.
Well, I mean, it's certainly been enjoyable. I didn't know there were bye games in the TBT. First off, but something I was thinking about, and you can tell me because I don't really follow it. I don't know the other teams and things of that nature. Like this UC centric team, obviously Jared and Jake playing it the way they have been is a huge, massive reason why they've been successful. But I wonder how much of their success is based on the fact that, like, you have very simple, defined roles on this team with guys who are used to playing those roles. You have Troy, who is the point guard, who is used to playing point guard. You have Jared and Jake, who are the scorers that are used to being the scorers. You have the bigs and the wings who are used to being the complementary pieces. I wonder how these other teams, how many of them are composed that way, or is it more of like a let's get the best guys we can get and kind of figure out what everybody's going to do type situation? And it has allowed this UC team to kind of gel quicker, to probably run a bunch of stuff that they all ran when they were either together or they know.
Actually, you want to know an interesting part about that? I talked to Cash about this on radio yesterday, and he said, because I noticed some stuff that looked like some stuff similar to what they ran when Mick was here with variations. When I asked Cash, he said, what we're doing defensively is everything I learned from Mick. What we're doing offensively, I had a coach when I was over in Europe. I think he said he ran the Belgian national team that was like an offensive genius. And he said, almost everything I'm running on offense comes from this guy that I played for overseas that taught me like how to really execute like an open spread offense where it emphasizes your scoring wings and allows them to have space and to get downhill and to play. So yeah, they're not actually running a bunch of stuff. I thought they were. I was wrong. They're not actually running a bunch of stuff that they're just recycling from Mick's tenure. Cash has actually installed his own offense. That's fucking impressive.
Yes, very much so.
He's not playing. Like, it's one thing if you were playing and you're like, this is what I want to do. No, he's as the head coach. He's like, here's our offense. And it's been Jake and Jaron are the two top scorers in the entire TBT.
Yeah. I mean, Jaron's averaging like 25 and 26 a game.
He can't be stopped. They can't stay in front of him. They can't contain him when he gets downhill. When they load up and try to stop him from driving, he just steps back and shoots a three or passes across court to Jake. Like, it was a lot of fun to watch. Keegan was giving me shit because basically so I had at Radio Friday, a bunch of stuff, family stuff, and the kid on Saturday. And then Monday I had radio again. And each day I was like, man, I'm going to try to get down there, but like, it doesn't look good. Like, I got a lot of shit going on. And every game he would look behind himself, and there I was. And he's like, you keep telling me you're not coming. I'm like, man, this is getting fun. Like, one Saturday, how could you not go to the shootout, to the summer shootout if you had a chance to go. I hate going in that place. It makes my skin crawl. But I went. Thank God I did. Turned out marvelous.
It was like, do you think what I said is valid, or do all the teams kind of have the same composition that the UC team does?
No, I think I can't remember who it was. It might have been Carey. Somebody made a great point where, like, the money team didn't have Jimmer. Like, that's Jimmer Fredette's team,
right? And
he kind of retired or isn't playing anymore. But like, they had a lot of good players, and they had a couple like higher level guys, but they didn't have the role players. And then X was just out of shape. Like, I was weird. Like, those, when you watch this tournament, it looks like a bunch of guys that are playing professionally that have come over here for like a one-time thing. I some of the X guys are playing over in Europe, but they just didn't look like guys that were playing basketball for a living.
Yeah, I did not. We were driving back from Florida, so I did not really. I was trying to listen, but I didn't really get to watch that one. I watched a lot of the one the other night, and I was looking up. I like to look up the rosters and see who's playing for these teams. And the team they played this past game, they had a ton of size. So I was concerned in that regard, but it proved that they couldn't shoot, or at least they couldn't that game, because they had been the top scoring team in the whole tournament in their first two games. But like you said with Jaren, like, I just don't think, and he knows it, like, these guys aren't going to just truly sit down and guard him.
No.
He knows that if you're going to step off me, I'm going to shoot a three. And if you're going to try to guard me, I'm going to just go through your chest, because I know you are not the elite athlete that you once were, and you're not going to be able to stay in front of me. And I'm either going to go by you or you're going to foul me.
I mean, talking to the guys, they said Jaren told them before the game on Friday, I'm going to the rim. I might get a charge or two. Like, there might be a turnover. I might not make every layup, but I'm going to the rim. They're going to have to stop me. And when he does that, he's as good at that as anybody at that, is he an NBA type guy? Maybe, but maybe not. But when in that setting, when he gets his shoulders downhill and gets past you or gets even with you, there's nothing you can do. The program for autism team, they just didn't have a dude. Like, they had a bunch of really good players.
Right.
But, and Jacobin Brown, like, I like Jacobin Brown a lot. But he's not as good as Jake and Jaren. So every one of those three games, Cincinnati had the best two players on the floor. And you know what, Dave? I'm not the smartest guy in the world. But in basketball, when there's five guys on the floor, if you have the two best players on the floor, your chances of winning go up.
You have a pretty good shot. Again, I have not seen nearly as much as you and a lot of other people, but I do have to say that the stuff that I've watched on the offensive end, I've been pretty impressed, because I envisioned in these types of situations, you just get a ton of ISO.
You don't run much offense, right?
Yeah, you just get a ton of ISO ball or transition. And they have been
cuts,
they've been organized. They have not turned the ball. They turned the ball over, but I mean, like, not at a high clip or anything. Now, we need to talk to Coach Cash. He needs to get them shooting some free throws when they're tired.
Yeah.
Because
free throws tired have been a problem.
They could have won that game by 40 if they made some free throws.
I know. Well, I think some of that is also at times having the wrong guys at the free throw line. And then, generally, Dew is a pretty good free throw shooter. He didn't shoot them well that night.
No, Troy missed both on at least on one.
He missed 3 or 4 towards the end. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how about Marquez Letcher Ellis? Is that not the most Mick Cronin player that?
I mean, yeah. At one point, I think I tweeted out like at one point they had 14 offensive rebounds, 7 blocks. Like, yeah, I mean, if you're coming in, like coming into the paint, you better come strong. Like they're not just giving up layups to get the ball back to go shoot a 3.
No.
But no, it's been fun. We're taking the whole crew's going to UD Monday. So
I'm thinking I've got to figure out.
I'm hoping I'm not bad luck. Show up, lose type situation. So
yeah. I've got my sit down with Satterfield Monday morning or Monday like late morning to preview everything, and then I believe the season opening press conference is Tuesday at 11:30,
like the pre-camp press conference.
Yeah.
When does camp actually start?
Camp starts Wednesday. There's a couple days at Nippert, and then they head out to Higher Ground.
Okay, so like the second, probably like head out on the 4th or 5th.
Yeah, something like that. Like they do a couple days. You know how they do those acclimation days?
Yeah, those fake days where you can only wear helmets.
Yeah, they do those on campus, and then they head out to Higher Ground. And then the good news is, Dave, it's business as usual. Almost every practice. I think there's 2 practices that are closed to the media, but almost every practice is open. So there will be practice reports. I will be there. Keegan will be there. There will be written articles. There will be podcasts. There will be daily updates. We will have the most complete and comprehensive coverage that we've ever had coming from Camp Higher Ground this year. I'm excited.
You don't have to tell me but do we have like we can talk about this later. Do we have a schedule as far as like
I do.
Days and times?
Tentatively, of course, everything on these,
right.
You know how that goes.
Whether
we have a tentative, like this is the plan type schedule.
Okay, cool. We will discuss offline.
We will. But yeah, I'm excited, man. I think it's gonna be a great camp. I think I'm looking forward. Look, I talked about this on the radio today. Like this Bengals camp that just started today reminds me a lot of 2021 Cincinnati Bearcats.
Oh yeah.
There are no questions. Like you know almost everything, and the things that you don't know, you're probably not going to know until the bullets start flying. Like you're not going to get those answers at camp. That's where we were in 2021. Remember the most exciting thing in 2021 we talked about was what AP and Sauce did against each other every day.
Yeah.
Like that was really the only like unknown. Like okay, is AP going to get a couple touchdown catches in red zone on Sauce? This Bearcats camp, we don't know shit. Like it's all going to play out right in front of us. We think we have a decent grasp on things, but ultimately we're going to find out. No, I said we think we might have a decent grasp on things, but we're going to find out when we get to Higher Ground. Starting the second week of August. So that part is exciting.
Absolutely. Ready to go. I mean, we are this weekend we are a little over a month from the season. I mean, we're here, man. We're here.
And now these
big thank you to TBT and Colorado for getting us through.
We were struggling. We were starting to limp to the finish line this week. Like it felt like we last week. We won't talk about the show last week, which was maybe the worst show we've ever done. We were worrying like, what are we gonna do? And now, when we're here next Wednesday, We'll have a little practice under our belt. We'll have media days. We'll have the BCJ exclusive interview series with Scott Satterfield breaking down the roster. Like we're gonna be deep in the heart of football season this time next week.
Oh yeah.
I love it. I love it. All right, I don't have much else. Do you?
Go a couple recruiting things. Touch on article on Travis Perry basketball.
Yeah.
Put out today. What are your senses there?
It'll be interesting to see the next round, like where he visits. I think Cincinnati's in a really good spot here. I think he visited about a month ago, that it left a really good impression on him. I know he spent a lot of time with CJ Frederick, who went to Iowa, went to Kentucky, and is now here, and was able to, maybe give Travis a little perspective on that journey about leaving home. And not that Travis Perry's from Cincinnati, or Northern Kentucky, but like leaving, a place that might be the best fit to go seek out something different. So I know, I like where they're at.
The bluegrass isn't always greener.
Thanks, Aaron.
So, I'm not in a position to say I think Cincinnati leads, but I think Cincinnati has done a really good job recruiting Travis Perry. So we'll see as that kind of plays out into the fall. I'm fascinated about this Oklahoma game when it comes to 2024 recruiting.
I don't know all the names, but it sounds like you've got some guys that are already setting up visits to Alabama, and we know that Jace Richardson has said that they're one of his, top. What did he have? Top 8.
They're my main concern with Jace Richardson.
Okay, but if they're setting up, if
Boogie Fland is a 5-star, you would assume their number one point guard target if they get Boogie Fland.
And I think he's visiting the same weekend in Alabama that the Oklahoma game is for us.
Here. Yeah.
So then you've got some wings and bigs, and it seems like much better than me. It seems like there's maybe more guys that could theoretically really want to be Bearcats than are spots available.
Yeah, the beauty of the way things go now is you could see a 4-person class that has most, all top 50 and higher type guys, or you could see a 2-person class where they just say, we got what we wanted, maybe we missed on a guy or two, but we're going to hit the portal for the rest when the spring hits. It changes everything, because if you missing isn't a major blow now, because you might go into the portal and get a kid that's more ready to help you that year.
Yeah. As
opposed to a freshman that might, be able to help a little bit that year and then more in the years to follow. But I think he's positioned things. I think Wes has positioned things really well to where, look, we're going to take big swings on high school kids. And if we don't get them, we'll get a couple. We'll be in that range where we're going to get 2-3 top 75 players pretty much every year. And then we'll backfill as necessary. And maybe every once in a while we hit one of those 3-4 person classes where you get a 5-star and the guys that go with them. So it's going to be fun. I'm excited.
And then on the football side, they had do you want to call it a camp? Did anybody actually camp? I know the quarterback.
No, they did have a camp this afternoon. I know Keegan was there. I haven't had the chance to talk to him yet.
2025 quarterback that I guess truly did camp, earned an offer. Another 2025 edge from Ohio earned an offer. But I guess the 3 main 2024 guys that were there were Taft, local defensive back Quentin Price, Steven Souls from defensive end from Powell, Tennessee, and then I don't even know how to pronounce this kid's name. Javanch Marceline, maybe another defensive lineman from Florida, committed to Florida Atlantic. I put some thoughts on them on the board. Some insane stats with the two defensive ends. I don't know if you had the chance to see the FIU commit.
I did. I think those are just guys that don't fit the traditional
right. They're short. They're 6 foot, 6'1". The FIU commit had 32 tackles for loss, 48 quarterback hits, and 18 sacks last year.
Right.
So I watched all their tapes, put some couple quick thoughts. Quentin Price did send out a tweet tonight saying that he has a big announcement soon. Read into that what you will. We'll see.
I think we thought that things were going to be quiet for the rest of the summer. There might be a couple fireworks left. I don't know.
Maybe. Oh, hello, Pickle.
Pickle! Where the hell you been, Pickle? We haven't seen you in like a month.
I think it's been longer than that.
She got bored with the pod. She reached a level of stardom that she was just like, eh.
Yeah, she's tired of us.
Yeah. She's like, it used to be you turned the camera on, Pickle was there.
I know.
Now she's got better things to do.
Yep.
Yeah. So if you want more on all the recruiting stuff, BearcatJournal.com. You know where to find us. And like I said, we are going to have the best month of coverage leading up to the season that we've ever had. So I'm excited about that. I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And do you want to make the announcement?
Oh yeah, I do. We almost forgot. We're bearing it at the very end, but I did tweet it out earlier as some fun news. We are officially coming back this year with the second season of the Bearcat Brunch, the Sunday morning following every game. Jeff will be coming back as my co-host, and Royal Links Golf Tours is back as the sponsor. So huge thanks to Jeff and Hayden. Hayden will be joining us on the season kickoff show. We've already, worked that out. He already asked for the dates, so you can put that in his calendar. That will be whatever that Sunday is before the first game. We'll kind of dive into the season from a national standpoint, and then he will join us whenever the last show is. So Hayden will be on twice. Huge thanks to Jeff and those guys for coming back this year, and super excited to be doing the brunch again.
I also have I can't spill all the beans yet, Dave. But that one show that we like to have that covers all of Cincinnati sports on the network, we're going to have something new. Hopefully, we are finalizing a deal with one of the biggest names in the history of Cincinnati sports media. Is going to join the network and be a part of our show that covers Reds, Bengals, Bearcats, a little bit of everything. We're not across the finish line quite yet, so I can't say too much, but the finish line is in sight. And if we get that done, and then there's potentially another podcast I've got percolating as well. So that way the Tuesday and Thursday slots will be full.
Too much content.
You'll have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then
Sunday,
and then the nightcap sprinkled in all the other times. Oh boy, it's gonna be a great season. And then we've got a Big 12 correspondent that we're working into the mix. We got Keegan involved a little bit more.
It'll be a great season as long as we don't go 2-10.
Yeah.
We're
still going to have fun.
We'll be drinking Bloody Marys and screwdrivers on the brunch if we're talking about 5 losses in a row or something.
We'll be doing Turtles Brew with 2 shots of bourbon. So it's coming. I'm excited. We're going to have an awesome season, and it's almost here. We are almost there. So thanks to our Baylor guest. I don't want to screw up his name. Do you remember how to say it?
Grayson.
Grayson. Yeah, just Grayson.
Sick'em
Grayson.
365.
Yeah. Thanks to Dan. Always good to hear from Dan.
Dan. What a guy.
Good to hear from Aaron. Aaron had a lot to add tonight.
I hope Dan can come to a game this year.
That would be great. I'd love to see Dan. Maybe Dan can come to a Simone family tailgate. Now that would be something.
Do you think he'll be seen in public?
Maybe at the Simone family tailgate.
Maybe.
I'd love to see how your mom and your aunts reacted to Dan showing up.
Good enough jello shots in him. Who knows?
All right, that's we went from one of our worst shows ever to one of our best.
enough Cincy lights.
Yeah, enough.
Ryan Geist, reach
what
out.
Dan Simon's gonna do. We went from one of our worst shows ever to one of our best. So you never know with this show. It could be an unmitigated disaster, or it could be super entertaining and a ton of laughs all the way through. But that's going to wrap it up. Thanks to everybody that joined us. We'll see you next time. It's the BCJ podcast, brought to you by the Holy Grail, right here on Bearcat Journal.